You are listening to Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Let's jump into these charts. This is the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin chart. We look primarily at the weekly chart on this one. And what do we see? Well, we see volume has been fairly steady for many weeks. We're doing this on Wednesday, so we still have 2 days left to see where the 24-hour-a-day volume, if it gets up to average, looks like it's on the way. Had a higher high last week, but again, right now up 3.10% for the day. And again, Bitcoin, once it started its climb, a little stutter here that week beginning the 9th of October, but then just has relentlessly moved higher and higher and higher. You know, things started around late September. Then, of course, after that little shudder there in the market, started climbing mid-October. And, you know, somewhere around the opening of 27,368 to that high in the week on the beginning on the 4th of December to a high of literally $44,729. Boom. And again, looks like Bitcoin might have some left. Now, what about Ethereum? Ethereum even cleaner now. It started in late September, and then it did have 2 weeks of some strong down movement, but then turned around with just a little bit above average volume and has shot up since then. Now, it did have a prior high last week. The high on Ethereum was $2,403. Again, the high on that first start week was $1,865. So again, just beautiful. And we look at the volume, that red volume for this week, and don't know if it's going to get to the average this week. You can also see on that candle, if you look at the bottom, it's got a little bit of a bottom wick on it. The red volume simply means that it started off lower than the prior close on Friday on this really strong week. So we'll keep an eye on Ethereum. You know, we have these 4 days of down, well, 3 days, because it's the first day of the latest 2-day candle. But again, sitting right there, piercing the weekly trend line on that 2-day chart. But you can see how strong it has been on these last 3 up candles on the 195-minute chart. So we'll keep an eye on Ethereum too. Now, of course, this is the Bitwise Top 10 Crypto Index Fund. It is the top 10 cryptocurrencies weighted as per market share. Bitcoin, of course, being the big dog on the leash. And it has been driving up just like where things peaked last week and haven't hit that high this week. Same here. We'll keep an eye on things. You've had these 3 days of down movement sitting right there on the weekly trend line at this point. So we'll see where things are going to go as this week continues along. That is where we are on our cryptocurrencies. Next, we always go to commodities, some real world stuff. And what do we see going on with gasoline? Well, for those of us who drive gasoline powered cars, nice. Things have been going down now for the day, up 2.16%. However, we can see where things have already been peaking down this week. As per last week, I mean, we had topped off back on that week beginning September the 11th, and ever since then, we've either had red down candles or spinning dojis. So again, that's what gas is up to. We look at oil. Oil strongly down for many weeks. Up a little bit, up 1.68% for the day. But again, a down week here with a down trend line. Move on to natural gas. And of course, with winter coming here in many places, is natural gas going up? No, price is going down. That's good to see for those who are having to pay for energy. What does it mean for the world? Well, maybe not a lot going on. Now we look at what's up with the last one we'll look at is sugarcane, because man, it has been trundling down strong for the last 3 weeks, and this week in particular, for the day, 2.32%. So again, those are the ones I found interesting. So much of the other stuff is just sort of wacky back and forth, nothing that really helps us out much. Now let's go from commodities to currencies. As we look at currencies, we'll start with the euro. What's going on there? Well, the euro went up for many weeks. Last week down, this week lots of indecision, up some for the day. But again, we're balancing this against the dollar, the British pound. Again, moving up, gaining until last week when things started to shave off some of that energy. And this week, falling below the weekly trend line on the weekly candle. And of course, on the 2-day and for many days, we see on that half-day chart. We look at the Japanese yen, still trying to move up. Hasn't hit that high of last week, but man, did the yen move up nicely on decent volume. This week, we're already above average, and it's just Wednesday as I record this. We had 2 days of really choking back there on the yen, and then maybe things are taking off again. So we'll keep an eye on the Japanese yen. We'll look lastly at the Swiss franc. What is it doing? Well, we had 2 weeks ago really bounding up. A week prior to that, super high volume. Last week slowing down, low volume. This week we are not quite where we were in volume last week. Not a lot to write home about there, but we'll continue to watch and see what the Swiss franc is going to do. That is where we are on Charting Cryptos, Commodities, and Currencies. Again, some real world stuff. You're letting you look at commodity ETFs, at currency ETFs, and of course, at our cryptocurrency ETFs, or the 24-hour-a-day Bitcoin and Ethereum chart, and then that ETF on Bitwise. So we'd love to hear from you. You have commodities, you have things you'd like us to look at that might be a little different. Always love to hear from you. Always happy to consider what you guys want. That's the whole reason we began charting cryptocurrencies, because you asked for it. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.